Russia's new Iron Curtain goes up as all free speech ends for LGBTQ. For everyone. Zuckerberg got zucked. Facebook has been criticized for blocking controversial political figures. The social media platform got banned by Russia before they could take action against Putin. Social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter can be vital for people living in totalitarian governments so that they can communicate with the outside world. Putin, angry about Russian people speaking out against his actions in Ukraine, has banned the social media platforms as part of his restrictions on free press.
So how does that work? So if someone has their internet and they go to Facebook, then there's basically nothing there.
There's no Facebook.
Right.
Well, there is no Facebook, and they have Telegram. So Telegram has become very successful, very popular. It's unclear if because Facebook also owning Instagram and WhatsApp.
WhatsApp, yeah.
If WhatsApp is out of the picture, which is massive, if that is the case. But people are turning into Telegram. So.
TikTok has made the decision before Russia could do it to withdraw out of Russia, and many observers, political observers, say that will have more dramatic effect on Russians because of the withdrawal of TikTok, because it's so popular in Russia.
I mean, one of the things it tells us, which we've known for a long time, is the power of social media platforms to get people together, to mobilize, to fight against the totalitarian regimes, against totalitarianism. But I also feel like the resolve is always there. That is, that people will find ways to do this. I want to find a kind of hope, like a strain of hope in all this, that people are going to find ways to continue to do that and fight against totalitarianism, because the people of Russia are also really strong, right? That is like they can fight against authoritarianism in a lot of different ways.
I'm curious, aren't you all surprised by what we're seeing in the world? That there seems to be such overwhelming opposition to what they're watching in the world?
Yeah.
It surprises me what I read too, also that apparently Ukraine also wanted that to happen, that Facebook will, because there is a lot of propaganda being spread out, right, by the Russian government to the Russian people, especially people. Well, the news are all controlled by the state.
Right.
So the TV is all controlled by the state. So now through Facebook, they were trying to spread that false, message that this was a military operation.
Right.
It wasn't a war in Ukraine.
Right.
So apparently Ukraine also wanted that to happen, but to what degree? Like you said, people have to find out the truth.
Right.
And the channels are becoming less and less. So unless you are young and you have knowledge of all these different media.
Well, help audience understand, what would you be feeling if you were LGBT in Russia right now? You're not only cut off in terms of the isolation that he's been working on for the last 4 or 5 years, but now you're completely cut off from the entire world. So you're gay in Moscow or St. Petersburg, which is principally where the two gigantic gay communities are, and you have no contact, not only in Russia, but in the world. How would you react to that?
It sounds awful. Sounds awful to say, and this goes against everything that I stand for, but I would probably go back in the closet.
Did you guys watch Welcome to Chechnya, the documentary that came
David
out of Russia
Franz
a few years ago?
Yeah.
And we showed it at the film festival. I mean, that tells you, and this is before this situation where they were very isolated already in Chechnya and persecuted by the police.
Violent,
kidnapped. And so add to that, the lack of communication now to the outside world. So imagine there must be terror.
And that was before a war was happening.
Right.
So it makes it even more difficult.
Exactly.
They were helping people escape. But now with this war going on, how can you get people in there to help them get out?
Another thing that I want to ask you about is, terrible, but more and more people are saying the nuclear options are exploratory in conversation. The no-fly is in concern that we can enforce a no-fly zone in Ukraine, even with Ukraine's pleadings, because it escalates the possibility of expanding the war outside of Ukraine and pulling us into a conflict. If we shoot a Russian plane down, what will Russia's response be? And everyone is beginning to cede in just matter of fact nuclear option. Yeah.
Well,
What do you think about the fear of, we're talking
before
about a missile crisis in Cuba in 1962 in spades.
Before, because our option, what is currently being under discussion is a potential boycott or blocking the purchase of oil from Russia, right? And natural gas, their biggest exports, right? The U.S. only buys 3% of their oil from Russia. The European Union purchases 39% of the natural gas from Russia. So this is important, because that's why you see the hesitation. You see, we could do without 3%. Yes, our gas prices will go up. The prices of gas. It has, and it's happening. But we have to be consistent here. So if we want to inflict pain, this is what's going to happen. We're going to have to decide, do we pay more? But this is our commitment to help, put pressure on Russia to stop this.
Are we willing to do that? Are we willing to pay more?
But this is what's happening right now. So Russia is going to Venezuela. As you guys know, I'm Venezuelan. I'm on top of what's going on now. Venezuela, the regime of Maduro is being supported by Russia militarily for many months, not just now. And they're going there, but now the U.S. is actually in conversations with the Maduro regime, even though we embargo the oil coming from Venezuela just because as an alternative to this potential boycott of the Russian oil. So we have to be consistent here. So the U.S.
I want to return to my question. Fear over the nuclear conversation.
Yes,
he's a
of course.
madman.
Listen, understand that Putin is Kanye'd right now.
Yeah.
He's a mess. He is not mentally stable. He doesn't give an F about us at all. So why not press that button and start sending them our way as well?
Yeah, he's a madman.
And he took over the not only Chernobyl, but the biggest nuclear plant in Ukraine. And now every decision that is made out of that plant has to come out of Russia. He can do whatever he wants. And they're interviewing even the past prime minister from Ukraine, and they're saying he's very capable of, going this route.
We're spending a lot of time on this, but obviously it's the #1 story in the world. What's your reaction that many people have been talking in the last 72 hours? What would be going on in the world if Donald Trump was still president?
Oh, God. Well, Ukraine will already be
Be taken
He
over.
would have given it.
Ukraine would be already Russia
Absolutely.
too,
That's right.
Russia too. Yeah.
There would have been any fight. I guess that would have been already given to him.
Well, before we move on, let's make two good positive things that are going on.
Please tell me two positive things.
Over the weekend, Anonymous came to Ukraine's aid. Everybody knows Anonymous. They have quite a bit of technical expertise in ways that you don't want to get on Anonymous's bad side because they'll do interesting things. Twice over the weekend, they broke into Russian television. And while you're watching Russian television, Putin is thinking, well, I've blocked everything in social media, and came on to Russian television and showed pictures of what was going on in Ukraine to the entire country. So you couldn't deny it because Anonymous comes in with a mask and says, here's what's happening in Ukraine, and showed video pictures.
Brilliant.
Amazing.
Brilliant. Yeah.
It's amazing.
Putin, you better hold on. You better hold on. Second thing that I think is amazing is over the weekend, reports started coming out of all of maybe as many 5,000 to 10,000 Russian soldiers have been killed. You can't hide that. You can't, no matter what. The truth always eventually comes out.
Yeah, I agree.
Authoritarianism doesn't ultimately succeed because you can't hide the truth forever. You can't be North Korea. It's virtually the only place in the world, Myanmar. But those are not world economies like Russia. But Russia's a second world economy. You can't hide the truth forever. What's really, really interesting to me is the Ukrainians are fighting. Mothers and women are standing in front of trucks and jeeps and tanks and stopping them on the streets.
It's powerful.
And powerful. And these Russian soldiers were sold a bill of goods of we've got to free them because they're being wiped out by fascists. And the people are pouring into the streets going, the fascist is sitting in the Kremlin.
Right.
And
Giving
they
you orders.
capture these soldiers, and what is it that they're doing? The first thing they do, I posted this today, the first thing they do is hand many of them a phone and say, call your mother.
Call your mom, of course.
That's brilliant.
Hashtag Moscow Moms is trending because of this, because they're calling their mothers to tell them what's really going on in the Ukraine. And they're planting little seeds in Moscow and St. Petersburg to say, wait, here's the real truth.
The truth.
It's brilliant. I think that's great.
It's genius.
It's genius, yeah.
Ukraine, we tell you, the LGBTQ America is certainly with you, and we just can't believe what we're watching. We just can't believe it. LGBTQ plus news is vital for our community and for the broader world as a whole. We have enough enemies at Fox News. Tucker, Sean, and Lara are loud. We need passionate allies. Happening Out Television Network, Queer News Tonight, and It's Happening Out are literally out of the closet and into the headlines. Our community needs your support. Like this broadcast and subscribe now to ensure the growth of the entire LGBTQ plus